Some people note that astronomy came from astrology, or that astrology was astronomy's forerunner, but note that alchemy was the forerunner of chemistry. Yet unlike modern chemistry, the purposes of alchemy were to turn base metals such as lead into noble metals such as gold, create universal elixirs to cure every disease or give immortality, and potentially do other dubious things, and was connected with magic. Alchemy has been completely discredited, while chemistry has been proven. Most of astronomy has been proven too based on scientific facts. And astronomy and astrology have two very different goals. Most astrologers know very little about astronomy, and most astronomers know very little about astrology. Also, astrology, like alchemy, was connected with magic and has fantastical claims of its own, such as revealing secret truths about others and foretelling the future. Yet an estimated 30% of people still believe in the legitimacy of astrology in one degree or another. Now, the first confirmed system of astrology came from the Babylonians, polytheistic pagans, in around 2000 BC. Their astrology was based on the idea that the sun, moon, and 5 known planets represented the activity of the gods and so influenced events and people on Earth. In fact, the underlying idea behind all systems of astrology was the activity of a multitude of gods instead of astronomical bodies influencing things due to natural forces according to the laws of physics. It appears that it wasn't until 700 BC, 1300 years later, that they switched to basing their astrology on 12 different constellations of stars. The ancient Greeks learned astrology from the Babylonians, solidified the constellation zodiac idea, and passed it down to modern Western culture. Then there's Indian astrology. While Greek or Western astrology is tropical, that is, the zodiac is defined from its position relative to the vernal equinox, Vedic or Indian astrology is sidereal, that is, defining the signs relative to the apparent movement of fixed stars. Then we have Chinese astrology. Unlike Western astrology, which is chiefly determined by the cycle of constellations, the Chinese zodiac is chiefly determined by a 12-year cycle of Earth around the sun. Its own symbolic animals for signs such as the year of the monkey, year of the horse, and year of the dragon are completely different from Western symbols such as Sagittarius, Virgo, and Capricorn. Then we have ancient Mayan astrology based on particular days within 20 different signs, just such as knife, crocodile, and death. Then there are those who like to mix the systems or deviate from them to come up with other variations of astrology. So if anyone would want to learn anything from astrological predictions, they'd first have the problem of determining which system is right. And each system contradicts another. So again, it's very unlike science, since there's a general consensus concerning established scientific facts. Despite that, many astrologers claim that astrology is scientific, proposing causal agents such as electromagnetism and gravity. However, the electromagnetic fields measured from Earth of distant planets such as Saturn are far smaller than those produced by ordinary household appliances. And the gravitational pull of stars besides our sun, which are quadrillions of miles away, by the time they reach Earth are so minuscule they're almost non-existent. Besides, even if one's astrological sign was valid, due to the slow, continuous change in the orientation of Earth's rotational axis, most people were actually born under a different sign than the ones assigned to them by today's outdated horoscopes. Each year, the error in dating signs has grown greater. Also consider that astrology is a sin according to various religions. Why it's sinful according to Christianity is that, besides essentially being the seeking of direction from strange gods, it tries to find, in some versions of astrology, it tries to find God's will. Those particular people try to find God's will by other means than those which He has appointed, ignore the way in which God has revealed things, and supposes that we are subject to the grip of fate instead of being responsible to our own God-given free will. The big question for me would be, does astrology work? The answer is, astrology in any of its forms has never demonstrated its effectiveness in controlled studies, and it has never been shown to help people live their lives. Though those it supposedly helped have instead been cases of coincidence. Followers of astrology suffer from confirmation bias, a form of cognitive bias where adherents tend to selectively remember predictions that came true while forgetting predictions that turned out to be false. In other words, wishful thinking. Though astrology has had thousands of years in which to prove its veracity, it has failed. So don't waste your time with astrology. Don't evaluate yourself or anyone else based on these false ideas, and never let anyone use or manipulate you through this or similar means. Finally, from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings.